How we do this, we are the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Hello, MOONFELLOWS! Today is an episode of a podcast called Ghoulish. Ghoulish. My God. I am Max Booth, an undead host. Conan O'Brien, my dog, just ran past. You probably picked up the noise. There's no way to edit that noise out. What am I, some type of fucking magician? No, I am not. I am an undead host. Incapable of performing technological magic, millennial magic. Don't believe the rumors. Today on the podcast, I have Angel Slater on the show talking about the motherfucking moon. It's the moon episode to celebrate the release of Angel Slater's new book, MOONFELLOWS, out now through my company, Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing. Go on over to moonfax.org to pick up a copy. It's available now. Great book. It's about, well, you know what? Just listen to the episode if you want to know what it's about. We talk about it. It's the moon episode. We're talking about MOONFELLOWS. We're talking about the moon. We're talking about spooky facts about the moon. We're talking about the first and only people to have sex on the moon. True story. We get into that. Lots of true stories in this podcast. It's fairly educational. Angel Slater is somewhat of a moon historian. So, you know, if you're a child and you will doing your science homework specifically about the moon, you stumbled upon the correct podcast to conduct your research on. Feel free to plagiarize us in any essay. It's okay. I think that's about it. As I said, MOONFELLOWS is out now. Angel Slater wrote it. I published it. It's a great book. I strongly believe in it. I think it's a great book, and I think people are going to love it. If you love like Vonnegut and shit like that, I mean, this is going to be the book for you. And my dogs are hitting bells and stepping on rebel chickens, and that's my cue to get the fuck off this podcast and let you listen to my conversation with Angel Slater about the moon. You wrote a book about the moon, and that seems kind of odd to me because I don't know why, but you don't strike me as someone who's really like interested in space. Is that true?
I mean, I'm interested in space, to a degree. They've just launched that telescope, the James Webb telescope, the Deep Space Telescope. They've been showing all those pictures online of little galaxies and shit.
I'm so not interested in anything in space. I have no idea what you were talking about. If I see a photo of like this of the sky and it feels like a blackness of space, I just click out of it. I don't want to see it. I have no interest in space. So they launched a telescope into space. Like how? like with rockets?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. No, okay. I'm going to give you a real answer. These telescopes are built in space because they're too big to be built on Earth. So they launch the parts into space and then have robots and astronauts build them in orbit.
Okay, that makes sense. It's been like, what, 50 goddamn years since a human has like been on the moon?
Yeah. A long time.
Why did we stop? Just because it's easier to have robots, or because of like some great truth no one wants us to know about?
honestly, I don't know, and that is the question I want to know the answer to. There's we're just talking about the stupid telescope that can look into the distant galaxies. Like, we just gave up on the moon, right? Like, Neil Armstrong walked on it, and now nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah,
like they were like, cool, we did it. Nothing's here. Let's move on.
it's a lot like publishing. Like, you want to get like a short story in an anthology so bad, and then you get that contributor copy, and it's like, what else is new? That's it.
Have you ever read a full contributor copy of an
No.
anthology? Me neither.
I've never read anything from a contributor copy. I guess in my head, it's like, oh, I'm in this. I'm not.
Yeah, this is no good. What the fuck?
I don't think I've ever read an anthology, but I didn't publish. Have you?
No. Have I read an anthology? I pick and choose stories, right? You get one because you're like, oh, it's got like 2 writers in it I like, and then you read their stories, and then you're like, let me try another one. You read it and you go, that sucked, and then you don't pick the book up again.
The real reason you get it is you will at a convention and like your friend has something in it, and they're like, hey, you want to buy this? I'm like, yeah, I'll buy this, but then you don't read it.
Yeah, I look at all these I mean, you're a publisher. You publish anthologies. You've actually had a successful one.
Yeah, I don't know who's reading them though.
That's what I'm saying. I see these. They come out a lot, right? There's so many anthologies that come out every month, and I'm just like, who the fuck is reading all these short stories? I don't even like short stories. I don't write short stories, and I don't like reading them.
Yeah. Helen Datlow, quit your job.
Do you think she's reading all those stories?
So I have this idea about Ellen Datlow, and it's okay because she's not listening to this podcast. I don't think she reads any of the stories. This is my thought. So I know from a publishing background that she won't accept ebooks, right? It has to be physical books only that you send her way. My idea is, this is what's going on. She wants these physical books because she's taking them to half-price books and she's selling them. She doesn't read them. It's all a scam.
This is like her grift. This is like She's like, step 1, establish myself in the horror genre as one of the top voices and curators. Step 2, steal everybody's books. Sell them half-price books. Step 3, profit.
When I met Ellen Datlow, it was about a decade ago, and I was helping someone else's publishing table at like a StokerCon or something, and the guy had stepped away, so I was in challenge of the table, and this woman comes up and begins grabbing all the anthologies, and she just walks away without saying anything to me, and I'm like, hey, where are you going? And someone like said, no, that's Ellen Datlow, she can do that. And I said, I don't know who that is. But yeah, she just began walking at the tables and taking anthologies and just leaving to sell them, I assume, at half-price books.
I want that power. just to be able to walk into a room and just steal whatever I want. And then if someone goes to say something, someone else comes up to them and goes, hey, it's cool.
I believe I wrote a column a while back on Lit Reactable that was just like how to do this scam, because I'm so convinced that's what's going on. Yeah. I don't know.
Did you ever look up your stuff on eBay to see if like any of your signed books are up there?
Yes, and I have found some.
Yeah, me too. With like someone's name written in it too. I'm like, who would buy a book with somebody else's? First of all, who would buy a used signed book with someone else's name in it from me for like $40? Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
I don't know. I think that I have so many books, and sometimes I do sell them because I just have too many. And also, I often need money. And most of my books now sign to me. It's becoming a problem. What am I supposed to do?
Are signed to you? The books you've been
getting. Yeah. It creates this awkward situation. Like, well, do I just sell them anyway? I begin like, okay, do they live close to me? Are they going to find this?
Well, I happen to have a copy of Maggots Screaming that was signed by Barack Obama.
You should list that.
That's got to be worth something. Well,
it might be real something. I don't know. Um, so Will did. I mean, I hate asking like, where the fuck did this book come from? But it has such a really specific idea and fun like background to it. I think. Like, how did this come to you?
I don't know. I write about the moon a lot.
You
I
write
don't-
or read?
I write about the moon a lot. I
Do
don't.
you?
Yeah, well, it's just kind of like sitting up there, and like
Yeah.
everyone has been looking at it for all of human history, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. It is scary. Like, why doesn't it fall down and crush us?
These are questions people asked for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that movie Moonfall, but people are still asking this question because that came out earlier this year.
I haven't watched that, but have you?
I went to the theater and saw it and had the fucking best time. I was all by myself. I got a big Slurpee or slushy, whatever the fuck it's called when the theater does it, and I just sat there and enjoyed the hell out of it.
Was it at all like related to Moonfellows? Like, did they copy you at all?
No, but they are definitely copying stuff like 2001 and a couple other movies, but it has just about as much science as my book has. So.
Your book has a lot of science. You have like a step-by-step guide of how to create a hot air balloon that would get you to the moon. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I basically was giving this as an instruction manual for anyone who wants to explore space but doesn't have the means of obtaining a rocket ship. You could do this with stuff from your own backyard.
What is the strangest thing you've built? I once read a book about like, this kid who tried to build like a nuclear bomb in his backyard. That was nonfiction. Yeah. So I'm imagining you've also tried to do some type of experiment before, maybe not a bomb or a spaceship. Maybe you've built like a toaster. I don't know what you do.
One time I built a life-size marionette, but I was the marionette, so I would have people tie strings to me and be able to control me with a little stick.
Sounds pretty cool. I assume that was to promote puppet skin.
It was. I did this reading where I'd have strings on all my arms and legs and give one to a different person in the audience. So I didn't really get much reading done because people were just making me fall over and do stupid things.
That sounds like a pain in the ass. I don't know.
Yeah, I only did it once, to be honest, because it was a fucking chaos.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a giveaway, like one lucky person who buys Moonfellows.
Yeah,
we pick them, and for like 1 month, they get to control you with this. I don't know.
I've been thinking of ways to promote this book, and I'm gonna run an idea by you real quick.
Please do.
Okay, I'm gonna get in my car and drive to the desert, and then get out and then start reading, like live stream myself reading from the book and to no one and walking through the desert until I get to the end.
Yeah.
And that's it.
The end of the book or the end of the desert?
or the end of my life. Whatever comes first. I don't know how this is going to end, but I think there's something.
I think you might have
about reading to nobody.
I think you might have issues live streaming in a desert. I don't think we're going to get like the data, dude. The data.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, the net bill. I don't know what you call it these days. Did you? I'm pretty mad because I was reading these spooky moon facts on a Riddles Digest, and I just found out that in retrospect is pretty obvious. Did you know lunatics comes from the moon? The real lunatic?
I've heard that. Yeah, people go crazy when there's a full moon.
Well, that's what the real mean. Luna.
Yeah.
Luna. God damn. I don't know why that upset me so much.
That's actually the moon's name. Did you know that? Luna?
I did know that.
Wait, you did know that?
Yeah, I know a lot. I know a lot about the moon, as you do as well. I mean, this podcast is just two moon experts talking.
Yeah.
So this list, one of the entries says there's a graveyard on the moon, And I don't know what defines a grave yield. If one body makes a grave yield, but I don't think so. And all it says is the ashes of some science bitch was sent to the moon.
Some science. It says science bitch in the article.
Yeah, I'm quoting it.
That's rude.
I thought the same. His name is Eugene Shoemaker. He was a certified science bitch, and he died. And NASA put his ashes in a tiny, I don't know, ship,
little capsule.
Yeah, just sent it to the moon. So that's one body. It's not even a body though; it's just ashes. So I don't know if that qualifies as a grave yield. I mean, there's a bunch of grave yields in Moonfellows. The main kill digs graves fully living. Have you dug a grave?
No. No, I've never dug a grave. Well, I guess I have for animals and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's actually a lot harder than it seemed. It's a lot harder than movies make it seem to dig a hole in the ground.
Now, when I was a kid, I used to dig a lot of holes in the ground in the woods because I thought it was cool. And this isn't the only book you've written that involves someone digging.
Yeah.
What is with this fascination with digging?
I don't know. It just seems like a futile endeavor, right? You just dig a big hole and then there's nothing in it. Yeah. Like, so you do all this work to just have a big empty nothing.
That is true. I don't know. I think when I was a kid, my motive was like, if I dig a big enough hole, we can build like a hideout in it. Maybe I was reading a lot of Stephen King at the time. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
You know, I was thinking about this graveyard on the moon thing, and like, why aren't we just sending all of our dead bodies there?
How expensive do you think that would be to ship a body to the moon?
Well, probably pretty expensive, but if we kind of diffuse the cost, like if we just stuff a rocket with like thousands and thousands of bodies and then just take a little bit from each family to pay for it, then no one's paying all that much. We're getting rid of it. And
yeah.
Because I was thinking about what do they do when a graveyard gets full? Right? Like graveyards fill up, and then they just sit there forever.
Sometimes some graveyards have renting fees, and if the family stops paying the fee, they take the body and like kind of chuck it in the trash. Not like the outside trash, but like a dump to make room for new paying customers.
I mean, this is the fate of everybody, right? Because you like once we die and the people who are paying for our graves die, and then their people die, then there's no one left. You're just forgotten.
I've long thought that it makes sense, like not even the moon, just send them into space and let them float for all of like infinity and beyond.
we should just send anything we don't want on Earth into space. And I know there's like this whole like, oh yeah, let's pollute outer space, but like it's infinite. Who gives a fuck?
Is it that bad to pollute space though? I mean,
I don't think so.
It's only like, I mean, we have lots of evidence for climate change, right? According to some science bitches. It's only evidence that we've damaged the nothing of outside the planet. I mean, it's nothing. I don't know. I do agree. It's like when you're a kid and you have to clean your room and you just throw everything in the closet. Just throw everything in the space. It will float away and it will be someone else's issue.
Or no one's issue because it's just emptiness.
Do you have any thoughts about, like alien life?
To be perfectly honest with you, of course, I think there's aliens out there not visiting the Earth, but there's got to be aliens on other planets somewhere.
Yeah, so they might get the trash we send out.
Yeah, but like, who cares? They live so far away.
They might track us down. I don't know. I'm thinking like we'll have someone just like throw some trash in your house. It's like we'll just go to your house and dumped a bucket of trash and left.
Oh man, my last apartment, I didn't. Well, no one's dumped a bucket of trash in my house. No, but my last apartment was in this cul-de-sac next to a highway on ramp, and it was like in this overpopulated area, and all the garbage would just blow down the street and just end up in this cul-de-sac right where my apartment was. So it was just piling up, and nobody was cleaning it up because it was like the town's land, and the town doesn't give a shit about it because it's just the little nub in the middle of nowhere. I mean, not in the middle of nowhere, but in the, a street that no one goes down. So they're just like, oh, it's taken care of. It's down. The garbage is there. That's where the pile goes, in front of my building.
How did you feel about that? Were you mad? Were you like, trash? Or were you like, you know what, this is okay?
I didn't like it because when there's big piles of trash, there's also rats. And then when there's rats, there's like fleas and stuff and diseases. So I moved out.
That makes sense. Not a lot of rats on the moon. Some slugs, though, I'm told.
Yeah.
Moon slugs. So is anything on the moon, do you have to use moon in front of it when describing it? Like moon men, like those astronauts, they'll perhaps moon ashes of the dead body that was chilling in the ashes, the science pitch. He would be a moon science pitch then. Is that what I'm thinking? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you'll get it confused. If you don't say moon science bitch, you're going to get it confused with every other science bitch.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is a spooky fact, but it's listed on this article. Footprints are still fresh on the moon from almost 5 decades ago because there's no wind on the moon. So it doesn't rain on the moon either, I guess. That's news to me.
That's news to me too, because I talk about in Moonfellows, I talk about the wind blowing on the moon quite a bit.
Yeah, there's also oxygen on the moon, evidently, that you can just walk around without having a mask on, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to have to deal with the whole not oxygen thing. So it seemed like a pain in the ass. So I just kind of made it so there was oxygen on the moon.
Yeah, it was like a half-assed like throwaway comment too, like, oh yeah, there's oxygen on the moon as well.
Well, the book takes place in 1906, right? And that was a full 70 years before we started doing space travel and landing on the moon ourselves. So yeah, they didn't know anything. There could have been oxygen on the moon. I'm kind of approaching it from the point of view of people at the time, where like it was, the limit was your imagination of what could be up there.
Evidently, there is some oxygen on the moon. I'm reading that now.
What?
All the rocks and soil, they contain a little percentage of oxygen. So I guess it's not too crazy to think in 1906 that oxygen was even higher.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand science.
Me neither, but that's a thing in the book too, that the soil has like stuff in it that could help them stay alive.
There's a lot of science in this book, and it does often sound like you know a lot about science. So I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I'm actually learning things now. I'm glad we get to talk about the moon because I don't know very much about it.
So before we continue, let's talk a bit about the plot of this book, just for those who might be interested and maybe want to buy it. It does take place in 1906. It's about these 5 fellows going to the moon. How are you pitching this to anyone?
I don't know. This is like the first time I've really been talking about it, so I'm figuring this all out as we go here. They go. It's 5 people. They're not all fellows.
It's fellow male centric. I guess it is, huh?
I don't know.
I was thinking fella is male centric and fellow is more kind of gender fluid, but now I'm not positive.
I tried to make the cast of this very diverse in terms of genders and races because I wanted it to seem like Star Trek, where they cast this kind of world federation of people. So even though it doesn't really make sense where America was at the time, I went, you know what, I'm doing Star Trek rules and having a bunch of people coming at it from all walks of life to bring different things to this. But they are fellows, I guess, in the broad sense of the term. They go to the moon because the president of the United States kidnaps them and wants them to go get a mineral that they've discovered is only existing on the moon that could advance American interest hundreds and thousands of years into the future. This kind of omni mineral that could fix everything.
Yeah.
And these people are all the best at what they do, including like an electronics expert, an engineer, and a pilot, and our main character who's a gravedigger who gets sent there because he's good at digging holes and they need somebody to excavate the moon to find this mineral.
And what is it called again?
The mineral's called MacGuffinite.
So when you came up with that name, did you smile smugly?
I thought I was being really clever. It might be eye rolling to a degree, but then I never address it or try to wink or do anything other than name it that. Because if you know what the term MacGuffin means, then you know. And if you don't, it's just what the thing is called.
Yeah. I think it's a good, like, vague hint of what kind of book you might be getting into, because I think we heal MacGuffinite pretty early in the book, if I recall. And it's like a good, like, okay, this is the type of book I'm going to be reading.
Yeah, it's not full of winks, but there's a lot of stuff like that too, where especially I know the book takes place in 1906, but I'm not writing it for people of 1906. I'm writing it for people of 2022 to enjoy. So I'm not going to pretend like everything needs to be period appropriate. Like
I think the only like editing we did as Phil is like the time period was the phrase "all that jazz."
Yeah, you're like, I don't think this existed then, and I'm like, I don't think most of this existed.
I don't know why that specifically. I was like, we have to change this, but for some reason it just stuck out at me, compared to everything else in the book.
Yeah, there's another one where there's a slug. There's slugs on the moon they discover when they get up there. So it's this mystery. There's several mysteries that they're unraveling and trying to figure out how to get back. Their ship crashes and things are going wrong. But when they first crash, the captain discovers these slugs that are just kind of slithering around the moon, and he picks one up and names it Bilbo Sluggins. And I didn't realize this until literally the last pass of the book we were doing. I'm like, wait a minute, Lord of the Rings didn't come out to like the 50s. Why would he be calling it Bilbo Sluggins?
Are you telling me that someone wasn't named like Bilbo Baggins or whatever will be filled with the rings? I doubt he invented the name. I don't know. Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Was Frodo not a name until then?
Well, that was a Godfather character, wasn't it?
No, you're thinking of Fido.
But oh, that's right. The Godfather's loyal dog. Frodo.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm looking at this list again. Let's see. Okay, some spooky facts about the moon. It's not that great of an article. This entry says the moon is disappearing. Evidently, the moon's orbit moves around like 5 centimeters away from the Earth, meaning that in 500 million years, the moon will be almost 15,000 miles further away than it is right now. But no one's going to be alive. I mean, the planet will be destroyed by then.
Is 15,000? Wait, you said 15,000 miles?
Yeah, that doesn't seem that far away.
Not that far. Yeah, in terms of space stuff, it's not that far.
Yeah, because doesn't it take like, I don't know, weeks to get to the moon or something?
Oh man, it depends on if you're using a rowboat or not. But it only takes 3 days for Neil Armstrong to get to the moon.
Is that right? It only takes 3 days?
That's the only piece of real science in the entire Moonfellows book, because it takes them 3 days also to get to the moon.
Okay. I'm surprised. I I guess because I've seen so many movies where someone travels in space and they have to be like frozen and put to sleep for yields and yields, that I just assumed the moon was also that length.
Oh, man, we could basically throw stuff at it.
Speaking of this, I found a different list called bizarre things humans have left on the moon. So these are just strange things that can be found on the moon. So one thing is a document from the University of Michigan's Alumni Association. Evidently, some of the Apollo 15 crew had ties to the University of Michigan, and they just left a document from the college. I don't know why.
His fucking briefcase fell open. What the hell?
They just wanted to like be like, yeah, now let's live for the rest of time, I guess. I don't know how that's helpful, like anyone. Doesn't make any sense. Someone left a golden olive branch as a symbol of peace. Seems stupid. I don't know. Why would you do that?
Yeah, is that a universal symbol of peace? Is that something everybody, well, is that something, number one, everyone in the world agrees on? And is that something aliens would even understand? They would just show up and be like, oh, what the fuck is this?
I've heard people say golden olive branch before, but it wasn't until 5 seconds ago that I realized it was meant to be a symbol of peace.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that supposed to mean peace? Is it like some type of fucking marketing scheme that Olive Gilden created? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big olive oil is behind this.
Fucking like canola.
like
I think I like to do recently, and I can't explain why, is I like to like pretend I'm in some Milton Scorsese movie in like the 70s, and I'm like an abusive husband, and my wife's name is Canola, and I walk around the kitchen going, Canola! It's annoying to everybody in my household. It makes me so laugh.
Wow.
Yeah, there's human shit on the moon, because when you travel to the moon and you will go and they'll to take samples of moon stuff to bring back with you, the weight on the ship sometimes is too heavy, so you have to let shit go, like actual bags of piss and shit and vomit. Evidently, I don't know why those bags of vomit, although I guess if you were in a ship you would vomit because of, I don't know, it spins fast. I don't know how ships operate.
I think about this, like we go and we colonize these places, or we do things that are very difficult, us as a human race, and we just leave trash on it because it's so hard to get there. Like Mount Everest, is just covered with dead bodies and human shit because it's too difficult to retrieve or clean up any of it. So anyone who climbs Mount Everest, and it's more and more people every day because we can't go backwards in time and unclimb up the mountain. So there's just more and more shit and dead bodies piled up on that mountain every time someone goes up there. It's fucking crazy.
I don't know why that's allowed. Like, why do we have to climb mountains? What's up there?
Yeah. There's this whole thing especially here in Oregon, where there's a lot of camping and festivals and a lot of natural stuff that involves humans going into the woods. And it's like this leave no trace mentality where you just can't, you're not supposed to, anything you bring in, you have to take out. You leave no garbage. So I don't know why we can just leave shit on Mount Everest. Like, that's probably like one of the most natural, beautiful places there are. It's the tallest mountain. It's covered in poop.
I was talking to someone else in the podcast who is a mountain climber, and he told me one of his friends, or like the guy who trained him, would often bring like a book with him, and every time he finished the page, he would rip it out and use it as TP. And now I'm curious, like, was he just tossing these shitty pages off the mountain? Yeah. I don't know. Seems likely now.
I also feel bad because it's not a book page is not a very effective toilet paper. So that guy's ass was probably so crusty.
Have you used book pages to wipe?
I've used a magazine page. I don't feel as bad ripping pages out of a magazine as a book. For some reason, destroying a book feels like bad.
Well, nobody saves magazines except for insane people, right? So, but books you keep on a shelf, magazines you toss out. So that seems to make sense in my head.
Although I think a glossy magazine page is probably not as well Doesn't work as well. Absorbing shit is like kind of a pulpy paperback page.
Yeah, I feel like an old school comic book would be best.
Oh yeah, except the colors might run and then leave you with like a rainbow colored asshole.
I mean, that's just like a bonus to me. This one astronaut left a family photograph of just his family. I don't know why.
Oh man, imagine you ever go to a thrift store and you just see a picture of like some children or some old family from like 60 years ago, and you're just like, oh, that's so creepy. Imagine how creepy that would be on the fucking moon. You're just wandering and you find this fucking family, this creepy family. You don't.
It's also signed by each member of the family on the back of the photo. Why?
Yeah, what? Are they famous?
They like
was it Brad Pitt?
No one's.
Did Shiloh Pitt sign that?
We have a snow globe in the living room, and I don't know why we have it. I don't recall why we bought it, but it has one of those stock photos of these two kids in it, and we have not taken it out. We don't know who they are, so it kind of reminds me of that. It also reminds me of the time when I was a kid and my mom was going through my dad's wallet, and she was like, "Who is this woman?" And she pulls out this photo of a woman, and he's like, "Oh, that came with the wallet." But as I say this now, I think my dad was cheating on my mom. That sounds like a lie to me now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I guess that's what you had to do before social media. You couldn't just catch go on the person you're having an affair with Instagram. You had to carry a picture of them in your wallet.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, you could have just chosen not to have the photo, unless like you have a bad memory. He's like, "Oh, I don't know what she looks like. What if I have to pick her up someplace?"
I have face blindness. He's got to hold it. He goes to the meeting place and he's just like holding it up against everybody.
Am I cheating on my wife with you? Excuse me. This entry also says the moon has 6 American flags. And now my question is that real the amusement park got its name from? 6 flags?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Why is there 6 flags? You think one's enough? They all got to put a flag up?
Yeah, it looks like Neil Armstrong and Buzz. They planted the very first American flag on the moon, and then 6 others were left behind on the following Apollo missions.
It's ridiculous. They should have put other flags up. Like, I'm not saying like another country, but like throw one of those pride flags up there, or like, I don't know, a fucking your favorite sports team.
Fucking Mets flag.
There's 4 American flags, 1 pride flag, and a Mets flag. Makes sense.
Okay. Do we know how the moon happened? Like, do you know how the moon came from?
Say God?
God?
That's an option.
Maybe the most popular idea is a vague object smashed into planet Earth almost 5 billion years ago, creating this massive amount of debris that fell into orbit and then eventually became this one object. So I think maybe God sent this object.
It sounds a little vague. Why did they say a vague object?
Oh, I added vague.
Okay, it's just like
because it just says object.
Fucking comet.
Maybe.
Like, what else is there? There's comets and planets, and then those are the objects.
Well, wait a second. What's an asteroid? Is that also just a comet?
I thought so. And a meteor, they're all the same.
So we just call them different names for no reason?
Okay. There might be a reason, but I don't know it.
Maybe it's like size. Like, oh, you hold the size of a house, you become a comet. I don't know.
There's actually, I did kind of know that because this plays a small part in Moonfellows. I don't want to give this away per se because it's kind of a twist in the book, but there is something about how the Earth and the Moon have the same kind of core. They have a similar core, this heavy iron core that keeps the moon locked in this tidal lock with Earth. So that's why we only ever see one side of the moon. because it is stuck in this kind of specific orbit with the Earth where we only see it from one side. It never spins when it the way that it faces the Earth.
Right. It's like this long, infinite romantic dance we play with the moon just waltzing in the sky.
Yeah, there's a lot of planets have moons. I think most of them, but ours is we have a very special relationship with ours that makes it so that the tides happen the way they happen, and it kind of holds us in place so our planet doesn't go spinning.
So is that what would happen if the moon went away? Would we just like go spin really fast and like fly into a vague object?
Yeah. We would crash into Mars and probably become Mars's moon.
Would we die being a moon? I don't know.
If
we were a moon, would that be bad?
Probably. If we were crashing into other planets, yes. But they say like Europa or Titan or one of those Saturn moons or Jupiter moons might be the place where life exists in this solar system.
So you can't walk on the planet we live in. You would just fall through that's the way I understand it. Right? Like there's no like, oh, I'm going to jump around and you just fall into the clouds. And I think I'm really stupid. I think there are many other planets like that as well. And many planets will not, many planets are bigger than the planet we live in. So if we crashed into one of those, would it be a crash or would we just like go into the planet? Then what would happen?
Are those just gas balls? Like there is nothing inside there to crash into?
I don't know.
Maybe we could just be the center then, and we would just live in that big cloud.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
We already I live in clouds of pollution.
Yeah. Dude, I live in Portland. It's raining like cloudy most of the time.
I need some of that rain badly. This giant crack in my backyard just opened up because of the heat. It hasn't rained in months. And it's just this fucking gateway to hell in my backyard right now. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah. Don't throw a dog in it and play a record backwards because you'll probably be in trouble.
I'll try not to. I wasn't thinking it, but now.
Did you ever see The Gate? That's the plot.
I have. In 2001, 2 people became the first humans to have sex on the moon. Do you know about this?
Yes, that's awesome. There goes my fucking life goal.
Do you know about this, Shirley? Well, no.
What, 2001?
Yeah, in 2001.
They were still sending people to the moon in 2001, and they're fucking.
This headline is misleading. I'll tell you. So this science bitch who was in an intern program in the University of Utah. His name was Thad. Classic science bitch name, Thad.
Thad.
I hate that name. I don't know if you know anyone named Thad. I don't. I never am going to become close to anyone with that name. It's Taylor Bill.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so what he did was he did this heist. He took moon rocks from this university with the intention of selling them on eBay. But first, before he did that, hold on. I want to get this right. Okay, this is a quote. I took some of the moon rocks and I put them underneath the blanket in my bed. And then without telling the lady he was seeing, they had sex on it. So he could be the first person to have sex on the moon, supposedly. And then he tried to sell them on eBay, but he sold them to a bunch of feds and he went to prison for 8 years.
Wow.
And they wrote a book about it called Sex on the Moon.
Do you need someone's consent to hide a moon rock under the bed if you're going to have sex with them on it?
I was going to ask you that.
It seems like she should know about it, especially since it's apparently illegal.
Well, I think the crime had more to do with stealing from the university.
Oh. The feds weren't like, oh, great, man, you got cum all over this.
What is this white stain?
think it's aliens. Oh
They
no,
keep-
it's just cum. It's cum.
They-
It's just
they
cum,
keep-
guys.
They keep trying to grab the rocks and it just slips out of their hands.
Yeah, it's like a greased up watermelon.
I found some reviews of the moon. If you want me to tell you some reviews, like people can just review it now. I guess it's kind of odd.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Like the moon itself, they're reviewing the
moon,
the object. Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to get back to them now. Okay. This one says the moon is predictable and nothing but cliches.
Wow.
Yeah. Yikes.
I don't think they've read my book. I don't think it's predictable. I don't.
No, this isn't of your book. This is just of the moon.
Maybe.
Itself.
Yeah.
This Filson said, I want to go to space, frowny face, one still. I don't understand that review. This review is also one still. It says, concept was good. This one says, not a fan, one still review.
Fair.
Yeah. A lot of the reviews keep mentioning Sam Rockwell's ass. I don't know why that is.
It's a good ass.
What does that have to do with the moon? I don't know. But so I didn't do enough planning with this, but the joke was going to be, I read all these reviews about the moon, and then the realization is I'm just reading movie reviews of the movie Moon.
Oh.
Yeah. But I realize now every review mentions the real movie in it, and it's really ruining my plan.
You're just like, I don't know why they keep mentioning Sam Rockwell's ass. I'm like, did Max not see Moon? That's weird.
Yeah, it was a good idea, but not executed well. I came up with this idea 5 minutes before we recorded, and I did not do my due. You know the rules.
Oh, dude, I'm kind of with you. I don't really like to plan things too much, which is not great when it comes to writing a book, because you get your edits back from your editor, and then I go, hey man, I think I'm going to rewrite the entire thing instead.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the interesting background this book had in the writing process.
Yeah, I rewrote the entire thing like a month ago.
Well, like what led you making that decision? Like, were you like, oh fuck, maybe I shouldn't do this, but you did it anyway? I'm glad you did, but like, how did that come about? Because I wasn't really involved in that decision. Suddenly you were like, I'm just gonna rewrite this real fast.
You know what it is? Okay, I wrote the book like 3 years ago, and I sent it to you like a year ago. You're like, I want to put this out, but there's not a slot until it was like 14 months ahead. Right.
Yeah.
So I hadn't looked at it since then. I'm like, cool, the book's gonna get published. I don't have to think about it. I can go work on other things, which I did. And then you sent me back the edits eventually. We started selling pre-orders and promoting it and talking about it. We got our cover, and then you're like, cool, let's just do the edits and we'll be ready to go. You sent me the edits back, and I'm going through them, and then I'm like, oh, first of all, they were really good edits. There wasn't a lot. It was just a lot of content stuff and some copywriting stuff.
I think my main like silly edit was like, they don't get on the moon until page 100.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking a lot about. I'm like, oh shit, there might be some pacing issues with this if they're not getting on the moon until halfway through the book, which still kind of happens. I just made the book a lot shorter and tighter. Yeah. So as I was thinking about the pacing issues, I just kind of started cutting things and rewriting paragraphs and combining things to kind of speed things up a bit. And it was just one of those cascading things where I was just like, if I'm going to combine this, I need to kind of combine that. And it just spun completely out of control. I halfway through it, I went, I am in the fucking weeds. What have I done to myself? I'm like, the book, it was seriously like 2 weeks ago. It's like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm like, we are selling copies and we needed print, arcs of this out made a month and 2 months ago would have been ideal. But
In your defense, I did take way too long sending you those initial edits.
Yeah, but I could have. I don't know.
Yeah,
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
If the book's
And
great,
I ended up cutting 14,000 words from the fucking thing. That's an entire other novella.
Yes, yes, it is. I think the book is so much more improved. I loved it when I first accepted it, and I loved it when I sent you those edits. But now it's like it's something different while being the same. It has the same, like spirit to it, but it's so much better now. I think people are gonna love it. I am recording this on Tuesday, July 19th. The book comes out tomorrow. I have a box of like several hundred copies coming to my house anytime today. So we will be mailing those out like immediately, and it's gonna be great. People are gonna love this book. This is a book about an event that happened in 1906. So, if it needs to take some time for people to read it, that's okay. Everyone involved is, well, not
long then.
Maybe. That's up for debate. Read the book. It might be alive.
Yeah. I'm hoping this connects with people, man. There's a lot going on in this book. I even look at it, I'm like, it's just jam-packed with shit. Like, there's just ideas coming out the fucking ass of the thing. Is that a phrase people use to describe books?
Coming out the ass, yeah. You invented TikTok in this book. Come on.
I did. We invented TikTok. We invented GPS. invent quite a bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, I had to explain things. I had to explain how they could talk to the earth still and how they got there. You had to invent the internet.
Was that like a lot of fun for you, like coming up with these solutions and then just being like, oh, well, I can just invent things that already exist? Or how did that come about?
Yeah, I do. I love approaching things from a place of not ignorance, but like when you don't know the answer to something, like a child, and you ask a child a question and they just say something randomly, right? You go, oh, why do bugs fly? I don't know. And they'll just make up some reason, like whatever comes to their mind. And then if you keep pressing them to explain themselves, they keep having to come up with more and more solutions to justify whatever nonsense they came up with. So it seems to me like a really great jumping off point for ideas, especially a book that takes place in the past where human beings and culturally were very limited in what they knew, scientifically speaking, and just kind of building on that until you get to things that we have in the modern world, but from a completely different, line, a progression of thought. And I try to make it have internal logic. So it's not like randomness, but it is not physics.
Yeah, it all makes sense in the book. Like, there's nothing that seems like random or nothing seems far-fetched as you're reading it. It all is explained well enough, and it makes sense for what's going on in the book, I think.
Yeah, like you have to suspend your disbelief in certain regards, like the whole oxygen on the moon thing. But but once you're okay with that, like it doesn't violate that once it's established. Yeah. And that's kind of the internal logic of a story.
I think it's good, man. I think people are going to love it. Do you have any final thoughts about the book or the moon or science?
No, I didn't have any thoughts of science when I was writing it, so I certainly don't have any now. I just didn't want people to think I was a science bitch. To be honest.
Yeah. I think some science bitches will love this book, and some science bitches will be outraged.
Yeah, I don't think it's for science fiction fans, to be honest. It definitely leans more kind of existential horror, at least in my mind. I know it takes place in space, but it's not really concerned with the science aspect of the fiction.
I think it's the same type of science fiction that Vonnegut would be considered. Because a lot of his science fiction is just wacky shit he's making up on the fly. And that's kind of similar to this.
Yeah. I love that comparison. He's my favorite author. So even evoke any of that or invoke, I don't know which word is the right word, but to have any of that come to mind if with anything I write is like the highest compliment to me. So that's
I've
kind of what I
already
always
seen
do.
at least one review that has mentioned Vonnegut too.
I know that was
good
I
shit.
loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. How can folks find you online?
Hit me up. Follow me on Twitter, danger_Slater, or Instagram is a good one too, which is just Danger Slater, one word.
And what website should folks go to buy this book?
They should go to perpetualpublishing.com and buy it directly from the publisher.
Why wouldn't you say the fucking website we bought?
Oh yeah. I forgot. Oh my god. We bought a website to streamline people getting to the book. Moonfacts.org is what we bought.
Yeah.
We've been using it.
It's great. I love it.
I think it's been working.
I think so. It's easy to type. Like specific, like especially like on Instagram, for some reason you can't link things in posts. It's really easy for people just to remember that and type that in too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Cool. That's the end. Goodbye. And that was Danger Slater talking about the moon. His new book, Moonfellows, is out now. Any place you can buy a book. Any place you can fuck the moon. Moonfellows is out now. Moonfacts.org. Go pick up a copy. I highly recommend it. I don't think you will regret it unless you hate the moon. Why would you hate the moon? What are you? Some type of sleaze bag? Moonfacts.org. Go pick up a copy. Moonfellows by Danger Slater. Leave a review of the podcast on iTunes. Any place else you can leave reviews. Can you leave a review on Spotify? I don't know. I don't use Spotify, but I know the podcast is on it. Okay, goodbye.
Live spooky, die spooky.
Rest in peace, Max.